Welcome to this module on the early Roman Empire. In the early Roman Empire, the upper classes of the East spoke and wrote in the Greek language. Those in the West, the upper classes in the West, wrote in the Latin language. And the boundaries between these broad languages ran somewhere across the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. Between the African provinces of Tripolitania, where it was spoken as Latin, and Cyrenaica, where the Greek spoken, somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean. Here we have the differences of the language that is spoken. So the common point here is the upper caste used to speak in the western side in the Latin language, and in the eastern part it is the Greek language. Now, all those who lived in the empire were subjected to a single ruler and the emperor, regardless of where they lived. Let them live in the eastern part, let them live in the western part. Whatever language they spoke, they all were under the subject to the single ruler, that is the Roman emperor. The regime established by Augustus, the first emperor in 27 BCE, was called the Principate. As you can see him on the screen here, he is Augustus, the first emperor of the Roman Empire. Augustus was the sole ruler, the only ruler, and the only real source of authority. So Augustus was the only ruler, the only source of authority. During that period, the fiction was kept alive that he was actually only the leading citizen, the princeps in Latin, and not the absolute ruler. Even though there is no one who is going to give any instructions to him, or he is under somebody, he is the only one, he is the only source, but still they kept this fiction alive that he is only a leading citizen and not an absolute ruler in the 1st century BC, when he was the only emperor, the first emperor, and the only source, the real source of authority. Still, they followed the tradition of the concept leading citizen and not an absolute ruler. This was done out of respect for the Senate, the body which had controlled Rome earlier, before 27 BC, in those days when it was republic. So, the Roman Empire was initially republic. It had the first emperor in 27 BCE. The first emperor's name is Augustus. He was the only one, the real power, the real source of authority, but they kept the fiction alive that he is only a leading citizen and not an absolute ruler, in order to respect the Senate which ruled the Roman Empire before him. So, in order to mark as a respect for the senators, they kept the concept of princeps, that is nothing but the leading citizen for the Romans. Initially they had republic, later they had an emperor, but they still called him as a leading citizen only. Why did they call them like that? They want to respect the senators who ruled them before Augustus. Most of the Roman histories that survive in Greek and the Latin were written by the people from a senatorial background. Who wrote the books? The senators or the members of the Senate were the people who have recorded the history, the Roman history. It is clear that the emperors were judged by how they behaved towards the Senate. If the emperors don't behave well with the Senate, then they are portrayed as bad emperors. If they behaved well with the Senate, they are considered as good emperors. As we can see here, most of the Roman histories that survive in Greek and Latin were written by the people from the senatorial background. So people from the Senate used to record the activities of the emperors. If the emperor is not friendly, is not behaving well with the senators, the emperors are portrayed as bad emperors, because the senators are the people who recorded the history mostly. The worst emperors were those who were hostile to the senatorial class, behaving with suspicion or brutality and violence. Those were portrayed as the worst emperors. Many senators yearned to go back to the days of republic. Many senators want to go back, but most must have realized that it was impossible. Any society which goes ahead with some changes, it is very, very difficult or merely impossible to go back from what they have come forward. Any changes in the society, once they happened, it is very, very difficult to bring the change back. The same thing the senators also understood when they requested to go back to the days of republic, where the senators ruled or controlled the empire. But most of them have realized that it was impossible task. At present, the growing influence of the emperors might have made them to feel like that. The next to the emperors and the Senate, the other key institution was the imperial rule, the army. So the three main things or three key institutions, one is emperor, next senators as we discussed till now, third is the army. Unlike the army of its rivals, that is the Persian Empire or the Iranian Empire, which was conscripted army, which is a forceful army, compulsory the Persian people have to participate in the army for a fixed period of time. But whereas the Romans had a paid professional army where soldiers had to put in a minimum of 25 years of service for which they are paid. So here the Persian army has a conscripted forced army, where Romans had a paid professional army, which also played a key role in the imperial rule. Indeed, the existence of the paid army was a distinctive feature of the Roman Empire. The army was the largest single organized body in the empire, which has roughly 6 lakh by the 4th century. And it certainly had a power to determine the fate of the emperor. So army, in other words, played a very crucial role on deciding who is going to be the emperor. If the army does not support the emperor, it is very difficult for the emperor to survive. The soldiers would constantly agitate for better wages and the service conditions. Obviously, once you know that you are a very influential person, you are needed for the emperor, these kind of demands will definitely be coming up. That's like constantly agitating for better wages and service conditions. These agitations often took the form of mutinies if the soldiers felt let down by their generals or even by the emperor. So, if the generals did not respect the soldiers or the emperor did not respect them, that would take the turn of the form of mutinies. Again, our picture of the Roman army again depends largely on the way they were portrayed by the historians with the senatorial sympathies. The whole history of the Roman Empire, which has been recorded, has a great influence of the thoughts of the senators. Your relation with the senator, let us say the emperor or the army, basing on that, the picture is portrayed. So, our picture of the Roman army depended largely on the way they were being portrayed by the historians with the senatorial sympathies. The Senate hated, feared the army because it was a source of often unpredictable violence, especially in the tense conditions of the 3rd century when the government was forced to tax more heavily to pay for its mounting military expenditure. So even the senators hated, feared the army because it is a source of violence, unpredictable violence. We don't know how the army will react, and if the army reacts, it is going to be a bloodshed. They were really scared, hated, feared of the army, especially during the intense conditions during the 3rd century when the government was forced to tax more heavily to pay for its mounting military expenditure. This gives us the picture of the relationship between the emperors, senators, and the army. These three are the crucial institutions which were existed during the Roman Empire period. The emperor is very powerful, but still they maintained the leading citizenship role and they respected the senates because the senator or the people or the senate ruled the Roman Empire before the emperors came into existence. And army is the huge strength for the Roman Empire. The army always used to agitate because army is very crucial. At the same time, army, if it doesn't support the emperor, it is very difficult for the emperor to survive and be in that position. Now, the portraying of the emperor, the army, largely depended on the relationship between the emperor and the senators and the relation between army and the senators. That is how it is being portrayed. The senators are the people who recorded largely the history or the sympathizers of the senators. So basing on the relationship between the emperors and the senators, army and the emperors and the senators, the pictures are portrayed. How they are portrayed through this one. Stay tuned. We'll catch you in the next section. Now this gives us a question mark here. If the senators are biased, are they giving us the real picture of the emperors, the situations, the role of the army, or are they portraying with their biased nature? Are the senators not being biased? We don't know. We largely look history with the senators' eyes. What the senators felt at that point of time, on that experience only the history is being recorded. It can be sometimes different version, but we are not given an exposure to that.